All right, today we're going to go on an incredible journey. Not to some distant galaxy, but somewhere much, much closer. In fact, it's the largest, most versatile organ you own. So let's start our guided tour of your skin.
So let me just throw a number at you. 3 kilograms. That's about, what, 6.5 pounds? What do you think weighs that much, is with you literally every second of your life, and works nonstop as your personal shield, your thermostat, and your sensory interface with the entire world?
You got it. It's your skin. And let me tell you, it is so much more than just a simple covering. It's this dynamic, multi-layered ecosystem. So this cross-section right here, think of this as our map for today's tour. We're going to start at the very top and travel deep inside to uncover all of its secrets.
Okay, first stop on our tour, the outermost layer, the epidermis. And you really need to think of this not as some kind of static wall, but as your own personal, living, constantly regenerating shield against, well, everything the world throws at you.
So, this is what that fortress actually looks like up close. Way down at the bottom, that's the basal layer. That's where brand new skin cells are constantly being born, like a little nursery. And as they mature, they get pushed upwards, through all these other layers, changing their whole form and function as they go.
So picture this, a single skin cell, it's called a keratinocyte, starts its life way down at the bottom. Over about a month, it makes this epic journey upwards, and along the way, it fills up with a really tough, durable protein called keratin. By the time it finally reaches the surface, it's not even a living cell anymore. It's become a hardened, flat protective scale, totally ready to be shed. This constant renewal is exactly what keeps your shield so strong.
Now, tucked away inside that regenerating layer are these really special cells called melanocytes. Their job is to produce melanin, the pigment that gives our skin its color. And you've got 2 main flavors here. Eumelanin, which makes those black and brown tones and gives you powerful protection from UV rays, and pheomelanin, which is responsible for reds and yellows, but offers a bit less sun protection. Your unique skin tone is just your own personal recipe. You're a specific blend of these two.
All right, time to dive a little deeper, just beneath the epidermis, into the dermis. Now, if you think of the epidermis as the city walls, then the dermis, well, that's the bustling downtown core. It's the living, working hub where all the action happens.
And wow, what a city it is. I mean, it is packed with all the essential infrastructure. You've got your supply lines, the blood vessels bringing in nutrients. You've got the communication network. That's this complex web of nerve endings. And then you have all these specialized workshops. The hair follicles, the oil glands. They're like the maintenance crew. And the sweat glands, that's your citywide cooling system.
You want a perfect example of all this machinery in action? Goosebumps. Every single hair follicle is attached to this tiny little muscle called the erector pili. When you get cold, or you have a really strong emotional reaction, this muscle contracts and yanks the hair upright, and that's what creates a goosebump. It's this fascinating evolutionary leftover from way back when our ancestors actually needed to fluff up their fur for warmth.
Okay, now we get to one of the most incredible jobs your skin has, sensation. I mean, this thing isn't just a passive barrier. It's an active, high-definition interface that is constantly feeding your brain a stream of information about the world around you.
And this is the hardware that makes it all possible. Your skin is just packed with over 2 million individual receptors. And get this, each type is a total specialist, fine-tuned to detect one specific thing, whether that's the lightest touch, deep pressure, a shift in temperature, or a signal of pain.
So let's meet a couple of these specialists, shall we? First up, the Meissner's corpuscles. These guys hang out right near the skin's surface, and they are incredibly sensitive. Their whole job is to detect light touch and those really subtle, low-frequency vibrations you feel when something is slipping or moving against your skin.
So this is exactly why. You know that feeling when you're holding a wet glass and it starts to slip? You instantly tighten your grip, right? That's these little guys at work. They feel that tiny vibration and flash a signal to your brain to react, way before you even consciously realize what's happening. It's a pretty critical reflex.
Okay, so that was the light touch expert. Now let's go deeper into the dermis and find a completely different specialist, the Pacinian corpuscle. You can see they're these larger, almost onion-like structures, and they respond to much deeper pressure and high-frequency vibrations.
These are the receptors that let you feel that deep buzz from a power tool, for example. Or, and this is really cool, they help you perceive superfine textures. As your finger glides across the surface, the tiny rapid-fire vibrations are picked up by our Pacinian corpuscles, and your brain translates that information into the feeling of texture.
Okay, so your skin can feel things. Amazing. But it's also your body's master thermostat. It's an incredibly sophisticated climate control system, and it's constantly working to keep your core temperature inside a very, very narrow and safe range. And what's one of its main tools for shedding heat? Sweat glands. And you don't just have a few, you have an army of them. We're talking about 2.5 million of them, all ready to release water onto your skin's surface, which then cools you down as it evaporates.
But it's got an even more elegant trick up its sleeve, and that's managing blood flow. When you're cold, like you see on the left, blood is shunted away from the surface to keep all that precious heat in your core. But when you're hot, bam! The system opens the floodgates, sending blood rushing into those capillaries near the surface. This lets heat radiate right off your body, just like a radiator. It's absolutely brilliant.
Okay, so we've seen the skin as a shield, a sensor, and a thermostat. But it has one more secret, one more language it speaks. It's actually an external display for your internal emotional world.
So let me ask you, can your skin, physically, give you away when you're nervous or excited, or maybe even telling a lie? Well, the biological answer is a huge yes. What you're looking at here is something called the galvanic skin response. Basically, when you feel a strong emotion, say fear or excitement, your nervous system gives your sweat glands a little nudge, making them slightly more active. That tiny change in moisture actually alters your skin's electrical conductivity, and that creates a measurable spike like this one. It's a direct physical broadcast of your emotional state, and it's the same exact principle that lie detector tests are built on.
So as we wrap up our tour here, I think it's crystal clear that our skin is not just some simple wrapper, right? It is a profoundly complex and absolutely indispensable organ.
I mean, let's just run down its incredible resume one more time. It's a sensory supersurface with millions of receptors. It's a self-regenerating shield. It's an excretory system that gets rid of waste. It's a chemical factory producing vitamin D from sunlight. And it's a dynamic thermostat for your entire body. It is, without a doubt, a true marvel of biological engineering.
And that brings us to one last really interesting thought. Remember, your skin isn't static. It's this living, breathing landscape that completely rebuilds itself from the ground up every single month. That means the skin you're going to have a month from now is being built by the cells dividing deep inside you right this second. So that leaves us with a question, doesn't it? How does what you do today shape the very skin you'll be living in tomorrow?